I don't even know where to start. I feel like I'm drowning, but maybe I'm the one at fault for expecting too much. I'm 27, female, and a first-time mom to a baby girl, Daisy. She is beautiful, but she cries all the time. The doctors call it, but it feels like I must be doing something wrong. Isn't a mother supposed to be able to comfort her child? I can't even manage that. The past few weeks have been a blur of pain, exhaustion, and failure. My C-section scar still throbs when I move too much and sleep as a distant memory. I don't remember the last time I slept more than 2 hours in a row. My husband, Mark, 31, tells me I'm overreacting. He works long hours and says he needs rest, so I do the nights alone. Every feed-in, diaper change and midnight sobbing session, both hers and mine, are all mine. Then there's my mother-in-law, Susan. She moved in 3 weeks ago after a fight with my father-in-law. She's taken over the living room, refuses to help with the baby because that's your job, and makes passive-aggressive comments about how I'm not keeping the house clean enough. I thought it would be temporary, but she showed no sign of leaving. She's been treating me like a living maid. She doesn't cook for herself or anyone else. Instead, she'll drop hints like, "It'd be nice if there was some tea," while I'm juggling a screaming baby. Yesterday, she had friends over for book club. They spent the afternoon laughing loudly and commenting on how messy the house was. I wanted to scream. Instead, I hid in the nursery and cried. And the dog, God, our dog got sick. He's been vomiting everywhere for days. Mark refuses to help because it was my idea to get a dog in the first place. Between cleaning up after him, trying to soothe the baby who won't stop crying, and keeping the house somewhat livable, I feel like I'm losing my mind. The worst was last week when I got mastitis. My fever hit 102, and I could barely stand, let alone take care of the baby. I begged Mark to take a day off to help, but he said work was too busy. That night, he ordered takeout for himself, ate in the living room with Susan, and didn't even ask if I wanted anything. Yesterday, everything came to a head. The baby was screaming, the laundry machine broke mid-cycle, the dog threw up on the couch, and Susan decided to host another book club without asking me. I had meat all day, and I was shaking from exhaustion. I begged Mark to ask his mom to leave or at least help me get through the day. He looked at me like I was crazy and said, "You're the one on maternity leave. What else do you have to do?" I don't remember what I said, but it doesn't matter. He stormed out, leaving me with the mess, the baby, and Susan glaring at me like I was the problem. Later, she told me I was a bad wife for upsetting him and that I should be grateful he worked so hard for us. I feel like I'm failing at being a mom, a wife, a person. Maybe they're right. Perhaps I'm selfish for expecting help. Maybe I'm a terrible mother because I can't stop my baby from crying. Perhaps this is all my fault. I don't know anymore. Am I the idiot for expecting my husband to do my job while I'm on maternity leave? Not the idiot. This literally makes my blood boil like it's boiling, and I wanna find out wherever Op is and go help her kick the Satan witch of a mother-in-law and husband out. Why is Susan not with her husband? I'm sure he worked hard to provide for her too. Why isn't she being a good wife to her husband and trying to leech off of her son? Why isn't she being a good grandmother and mother-in-law? Op, I'm saying this with a lot of love. Please get out of that house for now. Stay with friends or family who can support you, mostly to get some sleep and look after the baby. Next, create a plan. I can attest to this. It's easier to be a dirt poor single mom than to deal with all that. Get out or kick them out. You don't want your baby girl to grow up thinking this is normal. Locking yourself in the nursery and crying is not gonna help at all. You are going to have a mental health crisis. Your husband is a monumental idiot and a piece of garbage, and his mother is a vile, demented sociopath. Honey, you don't mention your own friends or family, so it sounds like you don't have a support network to help you. If I were in your place, I would walk into a church or a pregnancy care center and ask for help. My church is crawling with all the empty nesters who'd be happy to cuddle the cranky one while you take a nap. Go find your tribe. I, 25 male, recently won $80,000. After taxes and setting aside money for bills and savings, I had about $20,000 left over for fun money. My girlfriend, 23 of 8 months, has been begging me to buy her the new Kim Kardashian Skims puffer jacket that just dropped $398. Here's where I might be the idiot. I told her no, even though I technically have the money. My reasoning is we've only been dating for 8 months. She makes decent money at her marketing job, $65,000 a year. She already has multiple winter coats. I'd rather spend my winnings on things we can both enjoy or save for our future. She's been giving me the cold shoulder and posting shady TikToks about men who can afford luxury but choose not to spoil their girls. Her friends are blowing up my phone, saying I'm being stingy and that a real man would want to see his girl happy. I did buy us concert tickets, $800, and took her on a weekend trip, $2,000 with some of the money. But she keeps fixating on this jacket, saying it's literally less than 2% of what you want, and that I clearly don't value her enough to invest in her happiness. Am I the idiot for not wanting to spend $400 on a trendy puffer jacket just because I want some money? I feel like she's being entitled, but maybe I'm being too frugal. Edit, she's now threatening to break up if I don't show her I care by buying the jacket. Starting to see some red flags here. Not the idiot. She's threatening to break up with you over a coat. A coat? Beat her to the punch and break up with her. This won't stop with this jacket, and getting friends involved is not good. She's a gold digger. Exactly that, and $800 concert tickets. I bet you, Op, also spent at least a few $100 more on her during that $2,000 weekend trip. I don't know anyone who spent that kind of money on a girlfriend who they've been dating for less than a year. If she isn't happy or all the above doesn't show you care about investing in her happiness, then she will never be satisfied. Nothing will ever be enough with someone like this. Sorry, but she is selfish and entitled. She should be grateful for everything you've already done. Call her bluff and break up with her. Run, Op. Run far away. You deserve much better than her. Sorry, Op. I and my flatmates are all university freshers. Me, 18, Madison, 18, Simon, 20, Robert, 22, and Liam, 19. All fake names, by the way. One day, Madison private messaged me saying she didn't like how I talked to her in the flat group chat. I'm a very jokey person, so I may have gone too far with my sarcasm. I apologized straight away. She then didn't reply to my message or return to the flat for weeks. I've got worried as her life 360 was off too. Simon messaged the group chat. Simon, yo, guys, whose cooker is that? A picture of a mini rice cooker. Madison, mine LOL. Simon, inside is only just mold, okay? Liam, crazy stuff. Madison, oh what? I gagged when I saw the picture. I remember sitting in the kitchen with her as she cooked that rice. Last month, I took another picture of the rice to send to chat, adding that her avocados also went moldy and that I threw them out. She didn't reply. The next hour reminded her to throw the rice away. It was making the kitchen stink. She responded, has anyone seen my pot? My private messaged her twice to remind her, but there was no reply. I finally caught her at 4 a.m. in the kitchen with her friends. I apologized again to her in person and reminded her to throw away her rice. She told me it was okay and said she would. She didn't. It was there for another few days. I triple bagged the rice cooker and left it by the bin, sharing a picture in the chat. Madison, please throw your rice away. Madison, I'm not even there you all, and I lost my pan. She left to go back home for a break in Thailand. Me. Madison, I told you multiple times to throw that away. It's a health hazard. Madison, well, just put it where the vacuum is. Me. No. It'll heat up and grow more mold. Madison. Now, there's a lid. Me. It'll attract bugs and rats. Liam, I threw that crap in the bin for real. Was nasty. When she left for Christmas, she didn't clean her fridge section. I threw away food that would expire over the holiday, open sauce packets leaking on the shelf, and curdled milk, cookies, eggs, and vegetables pooling in water. My flatmate said her side of the shared fridge was filthy for weeks. I messaged the chat with what I've done. Madison, K. I sent her a video of me cleaning up. She complained I was disrespecting her space, claiming the sauces was still okay to eat and expensive. She accused me of nagging and said I shouldn't touch her side of the fridge area since I don't use it. I share a mini fridge with Robert. She also said the sauces were expensive. I feel bad for clearing her stuff out, especially as she was having personal problems in her life and was trying to heal, and I did call her a bad word on the group chat after her K responses. But it was going to expire over the holidays, and as I'm staying in the flat during Christmas, I don't really wanna smell that. So am I the idiot? It's disgusting to even let that food sit there for that long. This sounds like a bunch of children who are used to their mom cleaning up after them. Honestly, the first time you saw mold should have been when the rice was thrown away. Not the idiot, but this is embarrassing for everyone who lives in that flat. The idea that 5 people in this house and everyone lets the rice cooker sit there is mind-boggling. Everyone's the idiot here. Yes. Your roommate should have cleaned out the rice cooker before leaving, but there are 5 so-called adults in the place, and nobody could just dump the rice into the trash and give it a quick wipe out. Then let Madison clean it thoroughly when she's back. Should you have, too? Of course not. But Madison is right. You could have just bagged it up and left it for her to deal with, and you don't share the fridge with her, but you took it upon yourself to toss her stuff. Saying it would smell is nonsense. You're just making excuses for your meddling. Sure. It's an ideal, but it's also not your problem. Adding to the drama by videoing yourself is juvenile. Man, I would have put that moldy rice in her room and left that fur to deal with that heck when she came back. You're better than me. Not the idiot for throwing the cooker and clearing the fridge. At some point, the rice became one with the cooker, and it was long before she left. Not to mention how stink spoiled rice smells. You cleaned up in the way you thought you should. I, 28 male, got married 2 years ago to my wife, L, 28, after dating for 7 years. In the early years of our relationship, I grew close to Elle's parents and 2 of Elle's siblings, Ryan, 21 male, and Tara, 25 female. I didn't grow up with a supportive family and spent most of my life without one. So, being accepted and welcomed by Elle's family made me so happy. We are at the point now where Ryan and Tara feel like my siblings just as much as Elle's, and her parents feel like mine. Sometimes, I even say more dad to them, making them happy. Elle's older sister, Josie, 31, is the first time the least close to in the family, but we've always been okay. Josie is married and has 4 preschool kids, so she's busy and we don't spend as much time with her anyway. The background on me is that I was removed from my family at the age of 6 because of neglect and abuse and placed in foster care. I never found a good foster family and was bounced around more than most kids. I wasn't the cute little baby a lot of people wanted, so no adoption happened. And, unfortunately, most of the people who were taking me were in it for the money more than they were in it to provide us with what we didn't have. I rarely had a bed, didn't eat enough, and was frequently ignored. I dropped out of high school at 16 because my grades were full and I was being bullied on a daily basis, and I never had money in my lunch account, so I couldn't even go to eat 1 meal a day. I started working, but once I did, I got 0 of anything provided by the foster families I was placed with. They said if I had my own money, I didn't need them to spend anything on me. I wasn't allowed to eat their food or use their anything. I was homeless at 18 and moved away, and at one point, I had 3 jobs to try and get myself stable. Just before I met Elle, I met a couple who had their own business and they offered to take me under their wing and train me so I'd have skills. They ended up liking me enough that I still work for them today. I got a JT and a few skills classes completed to secure a future in my current job. Hell, and I met when things are just started to look up. She was in college and came into the shop while I was there, which is how we met. So I know struggles. Hell's family is fully aware of my background and how much I've struggled in life. I've talked about being hungry, being homeless, and working way too many jobs just to try and land on my feet. Anyway, Elle and I are expecting our first baby soon and plan to spend Christmas with our family like we do every year. Ryan and Elle's dad have helped me with the nursery. Ryan was chatting about it at a family dinner a couple of weeks ago and he mentioned buying more baby clothes for us. Josie commented something that nobody could catch and she refused to repeat it. At some point, Josie asked her parents if they bought her kids their big gifts and they said they bought gifts but hadn't bought the biggest ones. She told them they couldn't afford the big asks, and that's why she shared the whole list with everyone. Elle told her we got each of them a bigger thing off the list, which Josie didn't seem so happy about. She said we shouldn't show off, and it was easy to see we never had concerns about money. Elle and the rest of her family were on Josie for the comment, especially to me. Josie then looks right at me and says, I don't know what it's like to worry about money. Now I admit this might not have been the best reaction and might not have made the most sense to everyone, but I laugh my behind off. Of all the people in that room to say that to, I know I'm the only person who ever went days without eating sometimes, and he went without a roof over their heads. Her comment just made the rest of the family more annoyed with her. Josie's husband stayed out of it. Josie got upset with the rest of the family and said I laughed so clearly. I knew she was right. She told me I was such an idiot for laughing into her face like that, and she rounded up her husband and kids and left. She is still upset with everyone, but mostly me, and told me I could learn what it's like for someone struggling and that I should apologize. Am I the idiot? Actually, she may just think that you owe her an apology. People have weird views when it comes to foster kids, and a lot are as disconnected as they can be from reality. Not the idiot, op. I hope the chuckle you had was as good for your soul as it was for your mental equilibrium. Your sister-in-law is an entitled pain in the backside. She goes around with a list of big presents for her kids and expects her parents and siblings to buy off the list. It's her kids. She buys them the big presents. She insults her parents, saying she knew they couldn't afford the big presents. And when you do get one of the big presents, she says you're showing off. She will always have something to complain about. She's entitled, stupid, and poor. How embarrassing for her. Lord, I should make a list of big presents that other people have to buy for my kids. How many presents do they need? For goodness sake, people have already gotten multiple things, and they're all young. So what the heck could they even want? Normalize laughing at the absurd even if they get angry, especially if they get angry.